So most people that know me know that I have these fantastic boys, teenage boys. I have one with severe autism that is 16, and I have another son who's a senior in high school who is 17. And all of his friends are LGBTQ. And actually, several of them are trans. And so hear me out before you dismiss it immediately, because here's the thing. One of his friends who is trans, she tried to commit suicide right after the holidays. It's very stressful for her. I thought that her parents were aware of what she was going through, because she talked to me one time about not being able to fit in and how horrible it was and how she didn't know how she was going to fit in regular society, and she obviously felt very dejected. Now, everybody knows that teenagers can have more hormones and they can go through more stressful situations than other people, and it's not even that you have to agree with them being gay or trans or anything like that. The fact is that these kids are suffering. It's a very difficult mental struggle that nobody can deny. And no matter what they're going through, as humans, we should feel compassion for these kids that are really young. They're from ages, very young ages in teen life. And I guarantee you that even if you don't agree with it, you have to have children or somebody that's affected by this and how they're feeling. It is so common nowadays. And it just broke my heart that she tried to commit suicide and they put her on lockdown and everything else. So I was talking to my son about it, and what really got to me was that he came to me and he cried. His eyes were red, and this is a boy who does not show a lot of emotion. He doesn't cry, and his eyes were red, and he immediately said, "Can you take me to the hospital immediately?" This was before she went to lockdown. And I went, I said, "Of course, let me, grab a shower real quick." So I went down. I said, "Do you want to stop and get her something?" He's like, "No, I have to hurry." And I said, "Okay, well, I have this bracelet on. I have these bracelets that I usually wear." And one of them was from a friend, and inside it said, "Keep fucking going." And it had a little arrow on the outside, but it's very, it had a hidden message inside. And he said, no, I'm not going to give that to her. I said, "Listen, with girls, I promise you, we give each other jewelry. It's fine. Give it to her. Maybe it'll make her think, and just give her inspiration to keep going." So, he calls me 20 minutes later. He's like, "Can you come pick me up?" Because she obviously was going to be transferred to lockdown and everything else. So I went, "Did you give it to her?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually another trans friend of mine had a bracelet similar with a different message. So yes, I gave it to her." So it really broke my heart to see him tore up over it. And my son is not LGBTQ. He's just a regular straight white kid from Tennessee. But he has a lot of compassion and accepts everybody for the way they are, because that's the way I raised my children. Because if it is not your body, it is not your problem, and I support you in the choices that you make. Whether I agree with you or not, as long as you're not hurting people, it's really not my business. So I'm going to have compassion. And I remember how difficult it was as a kid to go through everything, and it was so dramatic and it was so stressful. And I remember wanting to commit suicide. I was raised in a cult. It was a very bad situation. And these days their feelings, even if you don't agree with it, they're very valid, and people are dying, and it sucks, and it's hard to deal with. And I think that what I want to do is, I noticed that one of his friends came to one of my shows, my trivia shows, and was very awkwardly had this dress on that was ill-fitting. And I got to thinking, where are they getting these clothing? And I guess they're parents but they're not as comfortable with it, so they don't know where to take them and things like that. And I thought, why can't I get donations from people, companies, and why can't I alter these items and provide them to these kids? Just one little thing that would help them adjust or explore how, and discover themselves and be who they want to be. I mean, it's not hurting anybody. It just takes a little bit of stress off of them. Maybe one less thing to where they know that they have a little bit of value, and it's okay to look nice where they don't feel like they look like shit. Because to me, it seems like they're getting them from Goodwill because they don't have an income, and they're getting them from places that, or sneaking them around, because a lot of them take them in their backpacks and change at school or whatever. Even if their parents know, they have this shame in them, which is ridiculous, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. If this is what you're going to do and you're not hurting people, then you do what you got to do. So, coming soon will be Middle Tennessee. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but it's going to be something where I can alter, help them look good, and I want to have a Q&A dialogue and discussion with people about this. I've already talked to my son about talking to him about it and getting things handled. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a good thing. And, you know, it's just all about them being comfortable for who they are and doing what they want. It does not matter if you agree with them or not. The fact is, they're in a lot of pain, and as a mom, I can't justify sitting there and doing nothing. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see my child crying to me because he's terrified that his friend's going to commit suicide. So it's one little thing. I encourage anybody to reach out and let me know. I've already had a lot of just from talking around to my friends, a lot of donations come in, and a lot of people volunteer to house the clothing, help me with sewing them and whatnot. It's just such a difficult time for kids, and not everybody is a straight A football player, jock. There are so many different facets to these kids that people don't recognize and see, and it breaks my heart because everybody should feel like they have the time and the energy to explore what they want without feeling like they don't belong and they need to die. So here we go. It's a new journey.